Fitness is everyone's dream, but it all starts with a good intention of achieving a successful result. And that successful result starts with the first step of training. Hello everyone, I'm Sumanova, Physical Education Director, PrepSchool by Vidhyaashram. I'll be handling the subject Health and Physical Education. In today's class, I'll be discussing on the chapter Training in Sports. This concept training is not a new concept. It is a very old concept. Training is nothing but preparation for a particular task. In simple, it is a process of preparing an individual or group of individuals for a particular task. When an individual wants to participate in a particular sport, he should have some of the physical fitness components to excel in that sports. Some of the physical fitness components are strength, endurance, speed, flexibility, coordination, etc. In this class, we are going to learn about two of the physical fitness components. They are strength and endurance. When we are learning about strength, we are going to learn the meaning, types of strength and methods to improve strength. Coming to the endurance part, we are going to learn the meaning of endurance, types of endurance and methods to improve endurance. Strength. Strength is the ability of the muscle to overcome resistance. According to Barrow and McGee, strength is the capacity of whole body or any of its part to exert force. The amount of force a muscle or group of muscle can exert is called strength. The strength can be measured in pounds. Certain amount of strength is required for common man also, but sportsman needs more strength compared to common man. Even in sports activity, some sports activity needs more strength compared to some sports. For example, a spiker in volleyball game needs less strength compared to a shot put thrower. Now let's see the types of strength. We have two types of strength, that is dynamic strength and static strength. Dynamic strength. Dynamic strength is also called as isotonic strength because we have movement in it. In exercises like push-ups, pull-ups, we can see this dynamic strength. This dynamic strength has a diminishing tendency wherein the muscle stops doing the work after a period of time. In dynamic strength, we have three types of strength, that is maximum strength, explosive strength and strength endurance. Now let's see what is this maximum strength. Dynamic strength is the ability to resist against maximum resistance. In simple, it defines the maximum lifting ability of an individual. This strength is used very less in the field of sports. This type of strength is used in those sports where very high resistance are to be tackled. This strength is used in some of the games or sports like weightlifting, powerlifting, shot put, discus, etc. Now let's see the next type of strength, that is explosive strength. Explosive strength is the ability of the muscle to overcome resistance with high speed. It is the combination of both strength and speed. Some of the events which requires this explosive strength are shot put, discus, javelin, high jump, long jump, triple jump, etc. This strength is used as an explode in these events. So this is called as explosive strength. Now let's see the next type of strength, that is strength endurance. It is the combination of both strength and endurance. This strength endurance is mainly used in some of the events like long distance run, cycling, swimming and in combative games. This strength is used in many of the sporting activities. Now let's see the next type of strength, that is static strength. Static strength is also called as isometric strength because there will be no movement in this type of exercise, but the muscle tension will be constant throughout the exercise. This strength can be measured in dynamometer, and this strength is less used in many of the sports activities. It is indeed used in some of the sports activities like phases in weightlifting. Now let's see the methods of improving the strength. In this we have three types, that is isometric exercise, isotonic exercise and isokinetic exercise. The first type of exercise is isometric exercise. In this we cannot see any movement easily. The muscle will not change its length in the course of this exercise. The tension of the muscle will be constant throughout the exercise in this type of exercises. This type of exercise does not require any technical equipments. This can be used for rehabilitation program. The athletes who are suffering from injury can do this type of exercise to recover fast. Now let's see next type of exercise, that is isotonic exercise, are those exercise in which we can see the movements directly. We have two types of movement in isotonic exercise, that is concentric movement or concentric action and eccentric action. In concentric action, the muscles will be shortened. In eccentric action, the muscles will expand and go to the normal position. This type of exercise will develop the flexibility in muscles. We can easily see the work which is done in this type of exercise because there will be movement of physical objects in this type of exercises. This type of exercise has more value in the field of sports. It is the best method to improve strength in an individual. Some of the examples of isotonic exercises are calisthenic exercises, running, jogging, some weight training exercise, etc. This can be done with or without any technical equipments. Now let's see the next type of exercise, that is isokinetic exercise. The next type of exercise is isokinetic exercise. Isokinetic exercise are those exercises which are performed on specifically designed machines. This was first found out in the year 1968. This type of exercise is not used in many of the sports activities, but it is used in some of the sports activities like rowing and swimming. In this type of exercise, the contraction of muscle applies maximum force throughout the range of motion. This type of exercise can be done according to the ability of the individuals. That is, the speed of contraction can be adjusted according to the ability of the individual. This type of exercise mainly develops the explosive strength and strength endurance of an individual. Now let's see the next physical fitness component, that is endurance. Endurance is the ability to perform a physical activity even after fatigue. According to Harry, endurance is the ability to resist fatigue. This endurance is directly or indirectly needed in many of the sports activities. This is measured with the number of repetitions which an individual does. For example, the number of sit-ups done by an individual determines the endurance of abdomen of the individuals. Now let's see the types of endurance. In this we have three types, that is basic endurance, general endurance and specific endurance. What is this basic endurance? Basic endurance is also called as aerobic endurance because it is mainly dependent on the aerobic endurance of an individual. In this, a large number of body muscles are used in a small space for a longer period of time. For example, running, jogging, swimming, etc. It is the ability of the muscles to resist fatigue caused by different types of activity. It may be aerobic or anaerobic. It may have high resistance or low resistance, but it should be done for a longer period of time, but not longer than basic endurance. It helps the sportsman to perform different types of activity for a longer period of time without getting tired. This is all about general endurance. Coming to the next type of endurance, that is specific endurance. It is the ability to resist fatigue caused by different types of sports activity. The nature of fatigue is different in different sports activity. So is the specific endurance. It is different for different sports activity. For example, the specific endurance of a basketball player is different from the specific endurance of a throwball player. This is all about the types of endurance. Next, let's see the types of endurance according to the duration of activity. So, in this, we divide the types according to the duration of activity. In this, we have 4 types, that is speed endurance, short term endurance, middle term endurance, and long term endurance. Coming to the first type of endurance, that is speed endurance. When we speak about this speed endurance, the duration of activity will be less than 45 seconds. So, the best example which I can give for this speed endurance is 400-meter run, in which the international standards of 400-meter run is below 45 seconds. The second one is short-term endurance. In this, the duration of activity will fall between 45 seconds to 120 seconds. That is 2 minutes. In this type of endurance, the activity will happen between 45 seconds to 120 seconds. The best example is 800-meter run. The third type of endurance is middle term endurance. In this, the activity will be between 2 minutes, 11 minutes. So, any activity which falls between 2 minutes to 11 minutes is considered under middle term endurance. The best example is 3000-meter run, 5000-meter run, etc. At last, long term endurance. Any activity which is done after 11 minutes is considered as long term endurance. Some of the examples for long term endurance is 5000-meter run, 10,000-meter run, half marathon, full marathon, etc. This is the types of endurance according to the duration of activity. Now let's see the methods to develop endurance. We have 3 methods to develop endurance, that is continuous training method, interval training method, and fartlek training method. The first type of training is continuous training method. Continuous training method is the best method to improve the endurance of an individual. In this, the individual have to do the exercise for a longer period of time without taking any break. In fact, the intensity will be low compared to other types of exercise. So, this exercise is mostly recommended for the beginners to develop the endurance. During the course of exercise, the heartbeat of the individual will go up to 140 to 160 beats per minute. This exercise should be done for more than 30 minutes. Now let's see the advantages of continuous training method. Continuous training method increases the number and size of mitochondria. Mitochondria is the powerhouse of a cell. So when the power increases, the ability of the muscle also increases and it helps us to work for longer period of time. Second one, it increases the glycogen in muscle and liver. Glycogen is the source of energy for liver and muscle. So by doing this continuous training method, we can increase the glycogen in muscle and liver. Next, it increases the efficiency of heart and lungs. By doing continuous training method, we can easily increase the efficiency of heart and lung. By doing continuous training method, we can improve the willpower of an individual and become well determined during the time of fatigue. At last, it develops the self-discipline and self-confidence of the individual. Coming to the next method of improving the endurance is interval training method. Interval training method is also called as repetition method. In this, we train the heart. It is also called as training of heart. During the course of exercise, the individual will be made to run several repetitions. The theory of this method is simple, wherein instead of running 2 kilometers, the individual can run 5 repetitions of 400 meters. In this, the intensity will also be more and the time consumption will also be less compared to continuous training method. The theory of this method is very simple, wherein instead of running a continuous run for 2 kilometers, that individual will be made to run 5 repetitions of 400 meters. When the individual is asked to run a 400 meter, he will be made to run 80% of his speed, wherein his heartbeat will go up to 150 to 180 beats per minute. Later on, he will be given a recovery time until his heartbeat comes back to 120 to 140 beats per minute. In this type of workout, the recovery is given after each speed work. During this workout, the load can be increased by decreasing the recovery time of the individual. For example, if the individual is given 1 minute of recovery time after 400 meters of run, we can increase the recovery time to 45 seconds to increase the load of the workout. Now let's see the advantages of interval training method. The first advantage is it helps us to do more work in short period of time. By doing this repetition method, we'll be able to do more workout in short period of time, as this involves more intensity compared to continuous training method. Next point, it helps for both respiratory and circulatory system. This interval training method gives more emphasis on lungs and heart. So by putting more emphasis on that, we develop respiratory system and circulatory system. Next point, the progress of the athlete can be measured easily. When the individual is doing repetition workout, after the first repetition, if we find any mistakes in him, we can easily guide him to change it. He can correct himself in the second repetition itself. But in continuous method, we don't have any options of correcting him immediately. So by regular correction, we can see the progress of the athlete very easily. It gives better result in short time. As this involves more intensity, it helps the coaches and also the individuals to see better result in short period of time. The next point, the athletes get fair judgment easily. This interval training method helps the athletes to get a fair judgment during the course of workout. The last point, suggestions can be given easily. As I told earlier, after each repetition, we can make corrections of the techniques which the individual is using in these types of exercise. After each repetition, we can make any corrections if the individual is making any mistakes. The next type of method to develop endurance is fartlek training method. This is a Swedish word which means speed play. It was first used in the year 1937. It is the blend of both continuous training and also interval training method. It gives importance for both aerobic and anaerobic system of the individual. The pace or the speed is not pre-planned in this type of exercise because there will be lots of variation in this type of exercise. For example, an individual will be made to run a 200-meter repetition workout. Immediately he will be asked to run a uphill. So by changing the workout, he will also have to change the pace of the workout. So the pace is not pre-planned in this type of workout. In this type of workout, the heartbeat of the individual will fall between 140 to 180 beats per minute. Duration of this activity depends on the experience of the athletes, but this will not be below 45 minutes. It will be more than 45 minutes. Now let's see the advantages of fartlek training. It keeps the heart rate high. By this, we can develop the cardiovascular ability of the individual. It is good for both aerobic and anaerobic. So by doing this type of exercise, we can focus both on long distance runners as well as short distance runners. It makes body versatile. So by doing this type of exercises, our body can be used for all types of activity in various sports and games. For example, in basketball, we have activities like running, jumping, throwing, etc. So by doing this type of exercise, our body becomes versatile and can be used for various purposes. Next one, it is flexible in nature. In fartlek training, we do not have a fixed pattern of workout. It can be flexible. It can be changed according to our need. So this is an advantage that it is flexible in nature. No equipment is required. To do this fartlek training, we do not require any equipments. Last, it can be easily adapted to the athlete's need. As I told earlier, we can frame the workout according to the need of the athlete. In today's class, we learnt about training. We also learnt about physical fitness components. In that, we learnt about what is strength, types of strength, and methods to improve strength. Next, we learnt about what is endurance, types of endurance, and methods to improve endurance. I would like to end my session with a quote of Muhammad Ali. I hate every minute of training, but I said, don't quit, suffer now, and live the rest of your life as a champion. Thank you.